There is one subgenre that I absolutely adore. This subgenre is so fascinating yet so underrated that not many game developers take the chance to embrace it. It's a special genre of its own kind and one of the most successful but also the most fearful genres in gaming history. What subgenre I'm talking about? I'm talking about the life simulation games. And no, I'm not talking about the biological simulation type life simulation games. I'm talking about the social simulation type of life simulation games. This genre has been a goldmine thanks to the Sims franchise. But even after the Sims franchise hit success, not many people know about life simulation games. So I'm here to tell you everything about life simulation games and why it's one of the most underrated genres of its kind. But before getting to that, I want to ask you guys to like and comment on this video, press the little notification button so you never miss any videos, and be sure to subscribe for daily gaming related content. Also want to thank you all so much for the support on our last game related video about open world 3DS games, and I will soon make a sequel to this, but for now let's focus on life simulation games, shall we? So life simulation games are, as the title already suggests, a game about simulating human or biological life forms. The subgenre was brought to the spotlight when Will Wright, founder of Maxis, started this idea of making a game about little people that you are in control of. Will Wright stated in his interview with Guru, there were 4 ideas that were represented to the focus group. One is The Sims, which was called Dollhouse, and of the 4 ideas, The Sims was the one that they all universally hated. So Maxis gave Will Wright a chance and it became the most successful franchise ever in gaming history. And I can understand these focus groups because it sounded like an interactive dollhouse. That's also the reason why many stay away from the life simulation genre, because it's meant for girls or for female players. Which is a big understatement, but let's not get off the board here and continue. But why are life simulation games so popular? Well, the answer is simple. We want to escape to a reality that is like ours but different. A great example to this is the online virtual world Second Life created by Linden Lab. In this massive virtual world, players embrace a immersive reality where everything is possible. You can do everything in this world just like you can do in real life, but without fears or feelings. Like, if you're scared to go in a roller coaster in real life, well, you can do it in Second Life and have no fear whatsoever. Another example will be not satisfied with the current way your life is going. Stress, depressions and more want you to forget the troubles and immerse in a world where you can do and be who you want to be, and that's why Second Life is such a success. Heck, this game is at the 2nd spot of most played virtual world game in history of online gaming, just behind World of Warcraft. But why The Sims, you may ask? Well, because it's similar to our lives. It's similar to our routine, waking up, making breakfast, going to work and sleeping. It's like being a complete different reality. I may have difficulties hitting on girls in real life, while in The Sims I can be the Casanova and flirt with any girl I like. It's the feeling of satisfaction that you can't achieve that easily in real life. Also, the reason why girls tend to play this game more is because it feels natural and trusted for them, as most of them played with dolls when they were little. But there are still many male gamers that are adored by the life simulation genre, just like me. Why is that? Well, that has everything to do with the immersive world and having the freedom to be or do whatever you want. And this is also the big reason why open world games like Grand Theft Auto are so popular, and that's just because we can do what we want to do. No limitations, no goals, just our own way of playing the game and having our own fun. It's like a universe made for you just to enjoy and to immerse in. Now let's move on with the beginning of life simulation game. And no, The Sims was not the first life simulation game. Definitely not. Back in 1970, Professor John Horton Conway created a life simulation game which was special. He called it the Game of Life. It was a game simulation cell automation which showed how cells behave and stuff like that. It was boring as tell you that, but it's the first artificial life simulation game ever to release in public. After that, there was a big silence of 15 years before the first social simulation game became a fact. In 1985, the guys at Activision, the guys famous for this piece of warfare game, developed and published this unique game for the Commodore 64 just 3 years after the system was released. It was called Little Computer People, and as it suggested, it's a game about simulating a little person in your computer. But this was not like the Game of Life. This was a fully interactive game, and it was really immersive and special at the time. There was no goal that you had to achieve, and there was only one setting, a side view of a 3-story house where this little person lived. In the game, you can give this little guy various comments like cooking, watching television, playing with the dog, etc. And yes, this sounds just like The Sims, but it felt different. You really grew a connection with this little guy as time flies. That's the specialty of the life simulation genre, the connection between the player and the controllable character. It didn't vanish unnoticed. It even earned awards by Zap and became Game of the Month by critics back at the days. But still, the life simulation genre was too risky to take for the technology at the time, so it was waiting for the next big thing. Dating sims made their way to Japan in 1985 back then, but I don't count that as a life simulation game, so we won't cover that. Now maybe some of you remember or heard about the next big hype that brought life simulation games back to life. I'm talking about Tamagotchi. Founded by Akihiro Yokoi and created by Bandai, this little egg device held a creature, and it was not just a screen to look at. These little creatures called Tamagotchis needed your help and care. By feeding, entertaining, you can make the little creatures happy. What happens after that was an insanely big hype all over the world. Everyone had a Tamagotchi, and yes, even here in the Netherlands. Tamagotchis were the next big thing, and we love caring for such a cute creature. It's no surprise many fell for Will Wright's simulation game. So on February 4, 2000, a unique title called The Sims became available in stores and people were addicted. Obviously this was no surprise thanks to the Tamagotchi, but the way Sims took over the world is mind-blowing. It started with a unique unexpected announcement by Maxis, which something no one expected at the time. The series started off and it already sold over 11.3 million copies worldwide after the 2 years. It's the 5th best-selling PC game of all time, just behind Minecraft, World of Warcraft, Diablo 3 and Counter-Strike. A total of 6 expansion packs came out that even increased the content available in the game. Modifications to pets, from romance to parties and to magic, and the list goes on. Will Wright knew he just made gold out of something so risky yet so ambitious. The critics were in love with The Sims. IGN gave the game a big 9.5 out of 10, GameSpot gave it a 9.1, and Game Informer included it in the list of the greatest games of all time on spot 36. After the first installment, The Sims 2 became a fact on September 14, 2004. It changed The Sims world from isometric to a fully 3D environment and created even more immersive gameplay. It's the most favorite generation of Sims games by many Sims players and considered the best life simulation game ever made. New expansions like apartments, hobbies and being in control of a business freshened up the already addictive gameplay, and new mini packs called stuff packs also came into the mix with collaborations from companies such as H&M and IKEA. And just to remind you, The Sims 2 is considered one of the best-selling PC games of all time with over 6 million copies sold and 13 million copies sold on all platforms. The critics were a bit less enthusiastic and gave the game less love than his predecessor. GameSpot gave it an 8.9 out of 10, IGN gave the game a 9.4 out of 10, but after all it did sold well and the people loved it, so the next sequel will be no surprise. So after 4 years, The Sims 3 was born, and this time it's bigger and more open than ever before. And I'm not joking about this one. The Sims 3 didn't have long load screens and gave you the freedom to explore. This made The Sims 3, in my opinion, the best one of the franchise. It lets you truly immerse in the world. Not only that, but the people around you changed as you progress through the game, giving you a feeling of being part of the world and the universe, which was just mind-blowing. The game also added amazing in-depth customization options and a marketplace for the community to share their creations. And the third installment gained 11 expansion packs, selling over 10 million copies worldwide, and is considered as one of the best-selling PC games of all time. And finally we have The Sims 4, the 4th installment and the most disappointing title of them all. The Sims 4 came out on September 4, 2014 and was critically acclaimed as a big disappointment. EA got rid of the wide open world in The Sims 3, toddlers pools and the in-depth customization options and hosts. All of this came in a trade of emotions. You can now take an angry shower or a happy bath, depending on your current emotional state. Many Sims gamers went outrageous, and so the game sold only 5 million copies, making it one of the worst EA titles to date. Now the next game is the closest thing that ever comes to an amazing life simulation experience, because who doesn't love escaping to a cute little town with cute animals and nothing to worry, except being a debt to a talking tanuki, of course. For all of those, Nintendo might satisfy you with their franchise called Animal Crossing. It's a special type of life simulation game called community simulation game. The series started in Japan for the Nintendo 64 under the name Dobotsu Domori, translated as Animal Forest in 2001, and became a huge hit under the Japanese gamers. After that, Nintendo decided to bring out this title on the Nintendo GameCube in the USA and Europe under the name Animal Crossing. It was a translated, localized, enhanced version of the Japanese Nintendo 64 title, and Japanese events and such were removed from the game due to localization and new features have been added. Animal Crossing became one of the best-selling Nintendo GameCube games of all time, listed on the 5th spot in the list just behind Smash Bros and such. The great thing about Animal Crossing was its look. It felt like a heartwarming welcome and the world feels trusted and something where you can't go wrong or do something bad. The game really gives you an immersive connection with the animal villagers. You care about these villages and they feel like a part of your experience in your little town. Another life simulation game from Nintendo is the recent Tomodachi Life or Tomodachi Collection in Japan. This life simulation game gave you an ability to finally use your Miis and experience them as living beings. They all lived in different apartments and you need to feed them, choose their clothes, etc. In this way you feel responsible for these Miis and see them grow up and have a baby is the most satisfied moment of the entire game. It all started in Japan for Nintendo DS on the Tomodachi Collection and it became a huge hit in Japan. And so Nintendo decided to bring Tomodachi Collection 2 to the 3DS under the new name Tomodachi Life. The game got rid of everything that was considered Japanese and replaced it with an English language and content. New plays on the island were added as well, such as a park and a theme park, and the game itself sold over 5.3 million copies worldwide and is on the 8th spot of the best-selling Nintendo 3DS game of all time. However, the success of The Sims, Animal Crossing and Tomodachi Life is no surprise. The life simulation genre is always guaranteed for success if developed well. Unfortunately, there are also games that kinda miss the groundbreaking formula of a life simulation game. New York Night Singles in the City is one of those examples. Created by Gameloft, this game was a special life sim but it was poorly executed. However, I did like the gameplay, the graphics were outdated and everything else was poor. Another example will be the Singles series. This series tries to take the Sims experience to a more romance nature by adding risky romantic interaction, but none of it looked pleasant and the game sold really poor and would have been considered the worst of them all. And our final example is FABLE 3, an Xbox 360 exclusive title from Lionhead Studios. This title, praised by Peter Molyneux, was a hybrid between an action RPG and a life simulation, but instead of finding success, it found nothing. The game sold bad and critics tear the game apart. Maybe fast enough the way to get your game, Big Peter? Now I'm going to end this long video with a list of all the life simulation games that came out, along with gameplay and the name of the game. Anyways, thanks for watching to this video about life simulation games and hopefully I made you a bit more motivated to try out one of these games. Until then, enjoy this list of amazing life simulation games and stay broski. Harvest Moon Story of Seasons, the Rune Factory franchise, Spore, The Girl 2, Alter Ego, Cute Night, Space Colony, Princess Maker series, Little King Story, My Life, My Love, Boku no Yume, Watashi no Negai, Magican Quest Mysterious Times, Wall Street Kid, VIVA PINATA, My Baby, Kudos, Fallout Shelter, The Innocent Life, A Futuristic Harvest Moon, Real Madrid the Game, Fantasy Life and Identity.